Hi everyone, I'm Stuart Winter, the platform architect for Slackware on the ARM platform. In this episode of the Slackware ARM vlog, I'm going to bring Slackware AArch64 up to date, because I haven't looked at it for a week and there's a few updates that I need to merge in. So join me now and I'll show you how it's done, and then we'll push them out so you can download them and upgrade your machine so it's running all the latest stuff. Alright, let's have a look at how it's done. Alright, let's get the show on the road. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is have a look at what's currently in the queue to be merged in. So there's a few things we've got to do here. So there's a couple of ways that I do this. First is that we have our queue in the changelog. That's how we do everything through the changelog because it makes it easy for me. So I'm going to select all of this. What have we got here? Yeah, a few things, that's fine. Paste that in there. There are other ways that I do it. I don't always do it like this, but when there's only a few updates, it's easier just to do this. We're not going to take the testing for packages. Those could be tested first in x86 before we move them into the main tree here. Core utils, we'll take that. We're not going to take the kernel because we'll do that ourselves. That's done differently, and that is good as well. Let's take a bit of that. What else? Elilo, we don't use Elilo on AArch64, so we don't need that. Yeah, we don't need that. We do need all of this though. Let's take that. Oh, Firefox, that would be fun. Extra, yeah, cool. And then we'll take the notes for the installer, because that doesn't currently get handled by my changelog script very well, so I'll have to do that manually. Need to update that at some point so that it works better. What else? Oh, some more installer stuff. Let's stick that up there. Thanks to all of you guys in the community that helped make these fixes. Core utils. Hold a minute, where have we got to? Oh, yeah, core utils. I've got a few Elilo changes there. Yeah, cool. Core utils. Xset. Let's get all of this. Down to Vim, that one. Starting to think I should have done it the other way now. There's more updates than I thought there were. Lib, okay, screensaver, awesome. Okay. Postfix, yeah, cool, right, done. And then we've got everything else already, so that's done. Awesome. Right, so that's got the list prepared into the AArch64 changelog where it all happens. So we're getting there. Right, so that's the list prepared, I think. Let's double check that. Yeah, looks good. Oh, kernel, yeah, cool. So then what we do, I think that, yeah, I've already downloaded the updates. So, well, I'm just going to check that actually on here. Should be good though. Nothing like some healthy warm water. Okay, so now what we're going to do, now I've prepared the list to merge in, we run our Slackware updater tool. I don't know what I'm going to have to merge in because I haven't looked at this before. but it'll probably be okay. It's probably a few patches to merge in. Let's have a look. Oh, there we go, look. Yeah, so there's a few things to do here. So what we're going to have to do is, where did my other window go? Oh, there it is. So there's a few different things we're going to have to merge in here. Source, which one is this one again? Oh yeah, core utils. Core utils. Okay. Now I've made these windows enormous so you can see them. I don't normally have them this large actually, so I'm not sure if I have to make it a bit smaller because it's going to be a bit of an issue for me to actually read what's on the screen otherwise, particularly with these sunglasses on. I don't know how people walk around with these sunglasses on, how you can't see anything. And the hair keeps getting in my face and it keeps getting in my mouth. But, you know, you've got to do what you've got to do, I guess. So, force unsafe configure, there we go. Let's put a bit of this in here. Some notes, let's add those notes in. And then, what is this one? Oh yeah, okay. Cool, this is quite easy to do. Hopefully they're all like this. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Oh yeah, oh, that's my style, let's move that as well. Right, there we go. Done. Done. You see the diff, looks good. Next. glibc zone info, shouldn't have to do anything for that. grep, nothing for that. Firmware, what's that? I don't need to make those changes. That's pretty old stuff actually. That's for 32-bit. I don't need that anymore. Anyway. Okay, tar. I know there's a patch in here, so okay. Let's do that one. Slack build. Oh yeah, let's update the okay, and then there's, here we go, there's that patch there, drop that in there. Okay, done. Okay, next Z. Yeah man. Ooh, what happened to that? Okay. Okay. Which is this one? Squash FS. Squash FS. Squash FS. What is this top bit here? Oh. Okay, so update the license first. I haven't done that for a while by the look of it. Okay, and what else? Don't need that patch. So we've got a make install change there. Make install. Okay, there's the new line there. Okay, cool. And we have our own functions for surfacing errors, so we'll use those. And then we've got a, what is that? All the documents. Okay, there's a couple of extra documents in there. Looks good to me. I think that's it actually. Yeah, cool. Done, next. Oh yeah, there was something, what was it saying? Squash FS has been rebuilt. That is because, which version do we have? x86, so we've still got. Oh, okay. That's fine. We do. It has actually been upgraded. Okay, yeah. So what that's saying is basically Squash FS must have been rebuilt. It's been upgraded in x86, then rebuilt before I've had a chance to even upgrade to the newest version. So my SUD tool tells me that we haven't already upgraded, so it resets the version, or rather resets the build number to 1, so that we don't look like we've rebuilt a new version that we never ever upgraded to. If that makes any sense to you. All this tooling is built so we can just leave it for a week and pick it up and it sort of evens itself out. Yeah, so actually I'll just double check it has set the right version. It should have done, yeah. Right, SUD tool, CMake is good, nothing to do there. Indent, nothing to do there. Acunial, ooh, what's that? That's fine. I'm sure exactly what's changed there. Oh, changed, oh, the old style format to colon, yeah, okay. Well, I don't always update the license at the top with the years. I will at some point. I get around to it. But yeah, okay. VNC. Ooh, what's this? Ooh, a few patches here. Okay, so extra source. Is it Tiger VNC? Oh yeah, Tiger VNC. What do I need to do? Tiger VNC. See, what I'm going to do to make this easier on myself, I'm actually just going to look at, I'm just going to grab the entire patch list from the original script, and it's easier that way, I think. Well, yeah, I think it's going to be easier that way anyway. So that's the only thing that's actually been removed anyway. Yeah, so let's just take the entire list because it is really easier actually. Tiger VNC. Let's see where the patches are. There we go. Oh, there we go. Perfect. It's exactly that. Yeah. So let's just rip that out. And bang that in. I think that's okay. Hold on a minute. What is that? If I put something in extra, what have I done there? So that goes. Why has that got a? Why does that open up a subshell? Oh, okay. I see what it's doing. Let me just check. What does the original do, though? Let's have a look what the original does. Oh, it's just the same. Okay, it's fine. It's exactly the same. Yeah, that's fine. So, okay. Right. So delete all those patches there. Switch them out with that one there. Bump like that. Let's stick it like that. Bump, bump, bump. That'll be fine. Okay. Da, 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 da. Okay. Done. Oh. Okay. Image magic. Okay. Okay. Do you know, back in the day, before I wrote subtool, I had to do this all manually, like apply the, work through the list manually. But don't do that anymore. That wasn't a lot of fun. Okay, what are we doing here? So licenses, text. Oh, okay. So this has got a little bit more in it. What is this? Oh, text live. Oh yeah, that's quite a beefy bit of project, that one. Text live. Okay, so what are we actually changing? I'll change the license in this one because that's the easiest thing to do. Best not to break a sweat. Oh yeah, I haven't updated the license for a while in this one. Okay, there we go. I should have done really. Okay, so now, so I think we've got some of the auto hacky work going on here. Yeah, we have. So don't need to change those versions because my code rips them out or extracts them from the upstream script. So what does that do? Make check. So that is. Oh, there we go. I've already commented it out in AArch64 because. Okay, cool. There we go. So it doesn't work for me already, and now Patrick's commented, or whoever it is that updated this has commented out Vect86 as well. That's good. Context work. Was that removed completely? Yeah. Okay. That's gone. And what's the other thing? Do uninst. Oh, we've got an uninst file. Ooh, that's okay. That's interesting. Okay. So okay, cool. That's new. I'm not sure why that's not compressed when everything else is. Normally they're compressed, but okay. In fact, the Slackkit library that handles the automation, or rather the automatic deployment of these scripts, doesn't handle do uninst. Actually, I should probably add that into the list of things to do. Yeah, I'll add that to the list. But mind you, this is the first one I think I've ever seen in Slackware actually, so a bit of a low priority. Right, okay, that's fine. And in fact, I'm just going to check source T text live. Is it actually uncompressed? Oh yeah, it is. And what is it? Just out of interest. Oh, okay, just delete some garbage left over. Okay, cool, done. Look at diff. Does it look good? Yeah. It does, because everything else. Ooh. Yeah. Why? You know, I'm going to change this because actually I don't like catting, especially when. There we go. I'm not a fan of using cats when you don't need to use cat. There we go. Done. Now we're going because it's also because it's uncompressed. I don't actually need. I don't need to decompress anything, so I can just install it directly. But if it ever gets compressed, I'll have to revert it and use Zcat instead. So do install. Yeah, cool. Done. Next. I think we're making our way to the end now. All right. Another patch here. What is this? And then FCITX5 KKC. Okay. Where does that patch go? Here it goes. Okay. Done. Bump. Done. Done. Okay. I hope you're enjoying this. This is like, you know, I'm just in my mind just then. I was thinking of editing this down to slim it down, but this way you can actually see this is exactly how long it takes. So I'm not going to edit anything. You can watch it and see how it's done from end to end. Okay, so there we go. Again, nothing to do there. Nothing to do there. Cool. All right, so it's found some patches. It's going to rebuild the mini root file system, which you use for development purposes, because it's found some of the packages that are inside of that, so it needs to respin that. It's found, I don't need to look at that. It's found an X11 modular package. It'll sort that out itself. Awesome. Cool. Okay, the next thing we need to do is, according to this, there is a new kernel, and Slackware is staying on the Linux 6.1 branch until the release of Slackware 15.1, or at least that's the plan anyway. So we are going to be picking the long-term release. So I can see 6.1.21 is available, and the question is which version of actually, you know what? ORM Linux. Just grab it from. I've got a script that just grabs it from the x86 tree locally, and that happens to be the same version, so that's good. So now we just need to run our little script that does the update. So this basically unpacks the Linux kernel source. It applies the local patches that we have, the patch set for AArch64, which is basically just stuff for the Rock Pro 64 and the Pinebook Pro at the moment. Try to keep that patch list as small as possible, because it makes long-term maintenance a hell of a lot easier, but we've still got quite a few patches actually. But there we go, that's applied, and now it's going to do a kernel configuration update using make old config, and there's probably nothing in there. There usually isn't after you've got a long-term release. It's quite seldom that there's anything that I need to change or add in. Okay, so that's doing that. Done. Yeah, there was no changes to make. Occasionally there's still a few things that pop up. You have to give your set a few values or something, but yeah, luckily nothing in this case. Right, okay, so we've got a new kernel version ready to go. This is the master build machine, so that's good. Okay, so I don't know if I've even got anything running in this here anymore. Ooh. Oh yeah, okay, this is the last time. Yeah, Thunderbird doesn't work. A lot of the Mozilla stuff tends to break when it tends to break when you upgrade it on ARM. Mostly, it's a very complicated product, a project, I should say. It's a huge monolith of an application, and the developers of it they have as I understand, quite an old build system, and therefore a lot of the problems with building it from source are just because it builds for them in an old build system with an old in an old environment with an old tool chain, but it doesn't work with a new environment with a new tool chain. And it's not just Slackware; it happens on all of them. So Thunderbird's currently in the on the back burner until I find the patches to make it work. It's broken with it has some problem working with Rust. I don't know what it is. I need to look at that though, but that can wait. Usually, what happens is if I wait long enough, that a patch emerges, or there's a new version of it, and then it works. So we'll get to that. Right. What we need to do now is I've only just updated R2B to make everything more streamlined, so I don't have to sit and do as much. And I can't remember what the command line is I added. Build kernel. That's right. So let's just double check what's in here again, see how many build passes I might give it. And I don't think there's any major version library upgrades. If there are, I normally put those up first because everything needs to, because you need to relink against that new version. So you always build that first. But I don't think there is in this case actually. So yeah, I can probably just. I think it's fine to just. Yeah, I don't think there's anything there. Okay, cool. So 3 should be enough. What was the command? What was the command line again? I've forgotten already. Okay. Oh yeah, that's it. Right. And then so we're going to build the kernel because I've just given the source tree a refresh, and then I'm going to also run the system integration test if all the packages build correctly. So R2B-KS. Boom. Okay. Oh yeah, it detected a duplicate entry there. Oh, it's detected quite a few. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay, and this stuff here is for all of the major components like OpenSSL, ImageMagic's not a major component, but some of the tools are linked. Some of the tools link against it, and you need those tools to actually build other packages because they do conversion or they run some particular script as part of the install routine or some tool as part of the install routine or something like that. So all of the major sort of components of the OS, when I'm upgrading those, the build system automatically copies the shared objects, the libraries, into a separate location and tells the linker, hey, you've got everything that's on the file system and this other stuff, so that when we remove the package, and also when the package gets upgraded, the whole system kind of doesn't fall down. So the linker can still find the original version, so that we can keep the world propped up while we build everything else. And then once the build system finishes, it moves the saved objects in a safe place out of the way of the system. So when the system integration tests run, it doesn't think things are still working just because they're still being linked against the stored old versions of the libraries, if that makes any sense. Does to me anyway. But there we go. Crikey, SquashFS tools builds quickly, doesn't it? All right, so that's what's going on now. So that's going to build. I don't actually know how long it's going to take, but it takes about 4 hours to build the kernels and the installer images for the Rock Pro 64, Pinebook Pro, and the Raspberry Pi 4. So it's going to take at least probably 8 hours, if not more than that, to build all of this stuff. And we've got Mozilla Firefox. That takes a few hours to build as well, if it's going to build at all. Hopefully it does. All right. And I'm going to go and do some other stuff now. All right, man. The build process has been going for several hours already, so now it's time to check in and see how it's doing. Okay, so everything's finished and everything built successfully, so that's great. It took 16 hours, and the kernel takes about 4 hours, the kernel and the installer images, and in Firefox takes about 3, and the system integration tests take about 6 or 7 hours, something like that. And then the rest of it's just rebuilding the other packages 3 times each. That's pretty much the breakdown, I reckon. One of the things I've noticed is that since I started this particular batch of updates building, there's been a couple of other packages updated in Slackware. So I'm going to take these 2 and build those as well. because this won't take too long to build. Let's just check this. Oh, I forgot, yeah. So I haven't checked the system integration log actually. So let's have a look. So that's all good. So the kernel, what happens is once the kernel has been built by the build system, if it passes some sanity checks, then it upgrades the kernel on the build machine so that we can reboot into it without much manual intervention. So let's have a look at the system integration log. That looks great. Good. The only thing here that you can see is that this package has some broken libraries, but actually this is because these are soft load libraries, so they're not actually hard dependencies, so you can still run this without the libraries it's asking for being present on the system. We can have a look actually at what they are. Yeah, it's this one here. So I've looked into this before, and with Speech Dispatcher there's another sort of third party, well, there's some other package that you can build, which provides some other functionality, but Slackware doesn't supply that package. But in the Speech Dispatcher, actually, what is it called? It's not. It's yeah, Speech Dispatcher. It is Speech Dispatcher. Yeah. So in Slackware's Speech Dispatcher package, whilst we don't supply this library that it's looking for, if you want to build it yourself, you can, and you can immediately use it with the Slackware package. You don't need to rebuild the Slackware package to include the functionality of this library. So that's a soft dependency. So it's not actually a bug. I need to change the system integration to either mask this out, or just change the way change what it's looking for in the tests so that it ignores soft dependencies. I just haven't got around to fixing it yet, because it only started happening, what, I don't know, 6 months ago. No, probably more than that, and it's just not really that important. But there we go. And then you've got a few of the broken symlinks. I know about these. I'm going to get around to fixing them at some point, but not too concerned about them at the moment, so I'll deal with those at some point. Okay, good. So all of the system integration tests look good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these latest, these last two packages, and we can push those out as well. So what I'm going to do is cut that out of there, cut that there, and there we go. These shouldn't take too long to build, these two. And just update them. I've already updated my local repository for Slackware, for the Slackware source, so I already have everything I need. I just need to upgrade them on AArch64. Good, that's that done. And Mesa, yeah, cool. So that I don't need to make any build script changes for that either. Great. Okay. So then what we're going to do, yeah, okay. I don't need 3 passes for this. I only need to build the packages one time. So, yeah, that's that. Right, so what I'm going to show you next, though, while that's building, is because I went onto the Slackware ARM forum to have a look and see what was going on. And somebody is trying to get John Jopin, rather, or Jopin, I don't know how you pronounce the name, of course, no way of knowing. But they'd been trying to get Kodi working on, I think it's a Raspberry Pi, on using Slackware ARM 15.0, the 32-bit version. And it was saying that the CEC support wasn't in a kernel. Well, Slackware ARM doesn't support the Raspberry Pi anyway, at least not directly. You'd have to have used, I guess, SARPI or something else to get a kernel that would support it. The OS would be fine, but it's just that we don't support the kernel in it. But I had a look at it to see what was going on, and it's true, there wasn't the Slackware ARM 15.0's kernel it had some CEC support and some remote control support. If you don't know what CEC is, basically it's a control protocol over HDMI. So, you know, most monitors and TVs use HDMI, and so you can control. So for, you just through the HDMI cable being connected to your machine, your well, in this case a Raspberry Pi, you can do things like turn the TV on and off just through the HDMI cable. So that's pretty cool. So with things like sort of home entertainment systems or media players or whatever, that's a really nice feature to be able to make it turn the TV on and off and control different aspects of your HDMI connected device. So anyway, Slackware ARM 15.0 did have some HDMI, or rather some CEC support, but it didn't have a huge amount, and AArch64 had none. So thanks to Yopin or Jopin, I've corrected that in AArch64. It really should have been in there, and I've added some extra support just for Slackware ARM 15.0. So what we need to do, I think that's probably a bit small. Let's make it a bit bigger. Cool. Yeah. So the kernel's been upgraded. We've upgraded from Linux 5.15.94 to 15.104. So I'm going to reboot it. I just need to see what I've done with. Oh, I need to copy that as well. Cool, that's that done. Move that out of the way. And where did it go? Too many things open here. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. So this is the serial console of Zippy, which is the Slackware ARM 15.0 build machine. So I'm going to reboot Zippy, and we can follow the boot here. So really I'm doing this to make sure that the new kernel works. Which is always a good thing, of course, before you push a kernel out, in particular. So yeah, I'm just going to test that the kernel works on here. I'm sure it's fine. And in the meantime, we can keep an eye on the build here as well. Sometimes what I do, let's just make sure this boots actually. The reason why this is resetting here is because it's actually told to do so in the U-boot configuration. It's because I had problems bringing I didn't have problems. U-boot had problems bringing up the USB bus. He had to reset it a couple of times on that particular device, so that's why it does that. Don't do that on AArch64. Yeah, it looks good so far. Looks like that's almost there actually, so okay. Yeah, it's booted well. It'll be online in a moment. Cool. Yeah. Nice. Okay, there's Zippy's back online. So what we can do is so we need to do the changelog now for 15.0. Yeah, cool. I've already prepared that changelog. So we just have a script that prepares the changelog for us. Okay. There we go. Oh yeah, normally we remove the all of the package names for kernels. Not really sure why actually. Patrick does that, so I'm just going to do it as well. I guess things like Slack package work when there's an asterisk there. I don't know actually. I've never actually tried, but anyway, that's what Patrick does, and no one's complained about it so far. So there we go. So just here's the notes about this. Sometimes, well, ordinarily for the kernel configuration, I list out the changes to the configuration, but it was too numerous. There was about the diff was about I think over 60, 70 lines because, oh, sorry, no, it wasn't actually. Well, it was about 20, maybe for 15. It was about 60 or 70 for AArch64 because there was previously no CEC or remote controller support there either. So there we go, yeah. So I've just put what I've changed there. Okay, so that looks good to me. That's all done. Machine's booted back up again. Changelog is done. So that can be pushed out when we push out the AArch64 updates, which we'll do once Mesa has finished building. So I think Mesa is building currently. Yeah, so it won't take too long. Okay, so one of the things, what else was I going to show you? Oh, so I was going to talk to you about the kernel stuff as well. Yeah, so in this case, for the CEC support, I'll tell you what, let's have a look, because we're going to wait. Let's see. Yeah, Mesa shouldn't take too long to build. Yeah, so let's see. Source. Okay. So let's have a look at the config and remember where the. I'll tell you actually what I did here. I might as well show you. So let's go on. So basically, all I did was, because I didn't know where the CEC stuff was. I just found something CEC, for example, that wasn't set, and I just put this in. So yeah, I guess that's what I did. Okay, so I just did. Well, this is a bit big, isn't it? So okay. Oh well, okay, that's not the best one actually. Let's pick a different one. Because it didn't tell me where it was in the menu structure. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So the location, device drivers, HDMI CEC drivers. So that's how I do it. So we go down to device drivers, and then we find C. The only thing I've got to say, unless I'm missing something from all these years, please tell me if I'm missing something. How do you find stuff in this menu? Because it's not alphabetically organized, is it? So, like, am I doing something wrong? Please tell me. Please tell me if I've got it, because I've never figured it out, but I've never actually read the text at the top either. Enter, submit, highlighted, blah, blah, blah. Yes, yeah, I know about that. Escape, search, yeah, I know about the legend, built-in, yeah, I know about that. Okay, so how do I find stuff in this menu? Like, because the way I do it now, I actually read I skim the entire menu structure. And let's see, so we're at the bottom now, and this is quite a large terminal here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 pages of text, and it's not in alphabetical order. How are you supposed to find it without reading every single line? If you have an answer to that, please tell me, because I mean, to be fair, I don't spend too much time doing this, but in the past I've just gone like, where is this thing? And I've been like looking up and down, and then it's right in front of me and I hadn't spotted it. Anyway, so let's have a look. So I think it was about a page down, wasn't it? CEC, now I can't find it. There it is, HDMI CEC drivers. So we can have a look at the help. So it tells you what it does. Well, actually it doesn't tell you a huge amount about it, but you can Google it if you're interested. So yeah, so I've gone in here basically, and I've just enabled all of the modules, and I've done this for AArch64 as well. I've also gone into here as well and enabled all of this stuff for remote control devices. So you can get an idea here for the infrared sort of control, physical controllers with buttons on them and stuff like Xbox. I didn't really think we'd need that, but I just added it in. It's probably like a kilobyte or something like that. Okay. So yeah, on the kernel point, generally there is no particular reason why there's something absent from the Slackware ARM kernel. It's very rare that I've made a conscious decision to exclude something. It's usually just because it's not selected. It wasn't in the default config and no one's asked for it and I've not needed it. So that's pretty much why. So if there's anything that you want, I can pretty much add it in generally. As long as it doesn't require a patch, it's fine. And I have to investigate every single request in case it's, if you want something within it, it adds a huge subsystem of loads of other stuff, which it bloats the kernel or bloats the init ID. I'm going to have a problem with that. But generally, that's not the case. So yeah, if you find anything that you want, just let me know. I can add it in. It's not a big deal. Yeah, so I've already done it. I don't need to do that, so we can quit that. Okay. Yeah, so that's that done. We just need to wait for Mesa to rebuild. We've still got a bit of time there. And all right, let's come back in a minute when we're done. Okay, so that took an hour. When I said I thought it wouldn't take very long, I meant about 10-15 minutes. And I was thinking, why is it taking so long? Well, Mesa uses Ccache, and Ccache basically it caches the results of compilations. And so when you do, if you recompile the same thing again, it detects that you've already compiled it and just gives you the cached result. So this speeds up build processing. When you're developing on something, it speeds up the process significantly. So whenever I would see Mesa building it, I would have been looking at it in the second or third pass on the build system. So it's already been built once and it would have taken about an hour. And then on the second pass, it takes a few minutes because there really isn't very much to compile. It's just more build process than compilation. So I was thinking, Mesa doesn't take very long to build. So I've done a single build pass and it's taken an hour. So that's how long it takes to build. And that's with cross compilation as well. So yeah, that took a bit longer. But we are now done. So what I need to do is just take a couple of these out. And that's it, I think. I think we've got the RCL in the right place. Yeah, cool. So we just need to prepare the build, the changelog now. And fortunately that is pretty easy to do because the changelog tool locates, so you see here, maybe if I do it before it goes over. So the x86-64 upstream, it detects the AArch64 build of these packages, and then it just extracts all of the blurb, as we call it, rather so I don't have to find it manually and match it all up. It does it all for me, which is good. So okay, so the mini-root file system was updated. Where was this? Oh, this was the installer. So let's deal with that text first. Installer. Oh, there we go. Stick that there. Get rid of that. I should really change this at one day, but I can't be bothered. It's not really worth it sometimes. It's easier just to do Control and K than right. Maybe I've got some more updates I need to do for some of this tooling, just to strips, just to remove physical effort. But it's like anything. It's not that much of an issue at the moment. So there we go. Looks all good to me. Oh yeah, I need to move the. So yeah, so I'm just including the same blurb as I did for. Oh, what have I done here? For Slackware 15. That would go here. Kernel. Yeah, there. Well, actually, strictly, they're modules, but really it's part of the kernel. So yeah, modules is just the way it's packaged. Okay. Yeah. Need to strip those out as well. Okay. So I think that's good. Yeah. I think that's it. All right. So that's that done. Just check it. Yeah. And then. Okay. We can just quickly do this. Yes, I do. And do those two, isn't it? 64 current 15. Yeah, push all of it. So this just shows me, I just review for the final time the changelog. Again, that looks great. And then it's going to compress some stuff. But basically that's it, and then it just pushes it out. All right. So that's Slackware AArch64, brought all up to date and pushed out, ready for you. And now it's your turn. You can download the updates and apply them. The easiest thing to do is to use Slack package. If you haven't already set that up, refer to the Slackware AArch64 installation documentation because it tells you how to do it in there. It's pretty straightforward, it makes the whole thing pretty easy. Just bear in mind that you really should look at the changelog, because if there's anything important in there that you need to do to make sure your system upgrades properly, it's going to be in the changelog. So you really should look at that. Don't just blindly update your system. Most of the time it'll be okay, but sometimes it won't be. So make sure you check the changelog. If there is a major change, I tend to make a note on the Linux questions forum, but you really should always read the changelog as well. I hope you enjoy using Slackware on the AArch64 platform as much as I do. And remember, this project is funded entirely by your support. So if you like using the project, you like running it, feel free to donate to the project. It's much appreciated. I promise not to spend it all on haircuts. Take care, and I'll see you in the next episode.